Imagine agreeing to take part in a simple university study. You expect boredom, a few questions, and easy money. Instead, you are suddenly locked behind bars, stripped of your name, and spoken to like you no longer matter. No one tells you when it will end. No one steps in to stop what is happening. Day by day, fear replaces logic, and authority begins to reshape behavior. You start questioning yourself, your choices, and even who you are allowed to be. History has shown us that the most dangerous transformations do not happen slowly. They happen when ordinary people are placed inside powerful systems. Tonight, you are about to hear a story that shocked the world and changed psychology forever. This is not a story about criminals or villains. It is a story about normal people, control, and how quickly humanity can disappear. In 1971, a quiet university basement turned into something terrifying. What began as a simple psychology study quickly spiraled into a nightmare. Ordinary young men walked in as volunteers, expecting an easy way to earn money. None of them believed their lives would change forever in just a few days. The experiment was designed to study human behavior in prisons, but no one expected how fast power would take control. You might think people would resist cruelty. Yet something darker emerged almost immediately. Some volunteers were randomly assigned to be prisoners. Others became guards. The basement was transformed into a fake prison, complete with cells and rules. At first, everyone laughed. It felt like a game, but games can turn serious when authority is introduced. Guards were given uniforms, sunglasses, and control. Prisoners were stripped of their names and given numbers instead. That small change erased identity. The atmosphere shifted. Guards began enforcing rules harshly. Prisoners grew anxious and confused. You can imagine the tension building in that confined space. The researcher watched closely, believing he was observing behavior, not creating harm. Yet the experiment had already crossed a dangerous line. What happens when good people are handed power without limits? As the days passed, control tightened and fear spread through the basement. Something was unfolding that no one knew how to stop. And the worst was still ahead. By the second day, the situation became alarming. Guards started humiliating prisoners publicly. Push-ups were forced. Sleep was disrupted. Small acts of dominance grew into cruel routines. Prisoners began to break down emotionally. Some cried. Some begged to leave. Others shut down completely. You might assume they could simply walk away, but the illusion of imprisonment felt real. The guards no longer saw classmates. They saw inmates. Power changed how they spoke, how they acted, how they thought. The prisoners staged a rebellion, hoping to regain dignity. The guards responded with punishment. Solitary confinement became a tool of control. The basement echoed with shouting and silence. The researcher failed to intervene. Instead, he justified what was happening as necessary for science. You may ask yourself how a study meant to last 2 weeks could unravel so fast. The answer lies in how easily humans adapt to roles. Guards became more aggressive each day. Prisoners became weaker. Some participants suffered emotional collapse and had to be removed. Yet the experiment continued. Ethics were ignored. Humanity faded. If this story unsettles you and you want to understand how power shapes behavior, subscribe now and stay with us for more disturbing truths from history. As the days passed, the experiment grew darker. Guards invented new punishments without instruction. They mocked prisoners, denied bathroom access, and enforced obedience through fear. What shocked observers most was how natural it felt to them. The guards were not told to be cruel. They chose it. Prisoners began believing they truly deserved the treatment. Their sense of self collapsed. You can feel the weight of that moment when identity disappears. One participant had a severe emotional breakdown, screaming and sobbing uncontrollably. Only then was he released. Still, the study continued. The researcher had become too involved to see clearly. Authority blinded judgment. A visiting psychologist finally questioned the morality of the experiment. Her reaction forced a reckoning. She saw suffering, not science. The experiment was stopped after only 6 days. You might wonder how something meant to explore behavior turned into abuse so quickly. The answer isn't comfortable. When systems allow cruelty, ordinary people can become its instruments. If stories like this matter to you and you want to keep uncovering how power can corrupt, subscribe now and continue this journey with us. When the Stanford Prison Experiment ended, the damage remained. Participants struggled to understand what they had become. Guards felt shame. Prisoners carried emotional scars. The study shocked the world when it became public. It forced psychologists and institutions to confront a painful truth. Ethics had failed. The experiment changed how research is regulated forever. Informed consent and participant protection became essential standards. Yet the story still raises haunting questions. How thin is the line between order and abuse? How quickly can rules override morality? You might look around today and wonder where similar power dynamics exist. The basement is long gone, but the lesson remains. Humans are deeply shaped by systems and authority. This story circles back to the beginning, reminding us that evil does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it wears a uniform and follows rules. If this story made you think, subscribe now for more hidden chapters of dark science history. And tell us in the comments, do you believe anyone is immune to the corrupting power of authority?